In 2002, LeBron lobbied the NBA to allow players to enter the league before turning 18. Unfortunately for LeBron, the NBA didn't approve, forcing him to finish his senior year in high school and preventing him from becoming the first 17-year-old to suit up in the NBA. This decision had major repercussions on the league's landscape. Instead of joining an up-and-coming Bulls or Rockets team, LeBron was drafted into a Cleveland Cavaliers franchise with a notoriously incompetent front office, which ultimately wasted the first chapter of his career. But what if he had been eligible? Would LeBron have been taken first overall over the 7'6" Yao Ming, the most hyped prospect since Tim Duncan? Would LeBron have been able to catch or even surpass MJ in rings? And how much sooner would he have broken the all-time scoring record? The Houston Rockets faced a tough decision. Should they draft Yao Ming, retiring once-in-a-generational center, or the 17-year-old phenom who was already being labeled as the most hyped prospect of all time? In the end, LeBron was simply too good to pass up on. So with the first pick in the 2002 NBA draft, the Houston Rockets select LeBron James from St. Vincent St. Mary's High School. This move reshapes the entire NBA. Instead of going to a struggling Cleveland team in 2003, LeBron enters a loaded Western Conference a year earlier. He now competes against prime Kobe Bryant and Shaq on the Lakers, Tim Duncan's Spurs, Dirk Nowitzki's Mavericks, and Kevin Garnett's Timberwolves. At just 17 years old, LeBron enters the most competitive conference in NBA history. The West is stacked, but now Houston has their franchise superstar years ahead of schedule. With LeBron in Houston, the landscape shifts entirely. Does the Spurs dynasty still happen? How does Kobe react to another generational superstar coming into his prime so early? And with the East losing LeBron before Cleveland ever drafts him, how does that change the entire league's balance of power? One thing is certain, LeBron James entering the NBA in 2002 would have changed the league forever. With Yao Ming drafted second overall to the Chicago Bulls, Houston's roster looks different than in reality. Hakeem Olajuwon, instead of retiring or leaving, stays with the team to mentor the young superstar. However, LeBron is just 17 and still developing physically, so in his rookie year he plays as the number 2 option behind All-Star guard Steve Francis. Though it's a bit of a funky fit, LeBron still puts up impressive numbers, 17 points, 5 rebounds and 4 assists per game while playing significant off-ball minutes. Without Yao, Houston struggles slightly more than in real life, finishing 40 and 42, 3 games worse than their original record. However, LeBron shows flashes of greatness, proving he is a future superstar in the making. Because LeBron entered the league a year earlier, he gets to face many NBA legends in their final seasons that he didn't get to face in real life, such as Michael Jordan, David Robinson, John Stockton, Shawn Kemp, and Tim Hardaway. One of the biggest moments of LeBron's rookie season is his matchup against Michael Jordan in his final NBA season. The GOAT versus the most hyped prospect of all time. While Jordan is no longer at his peak, he is still an elite competitor, and LeBron relishes the opportunity to go head-to-head with him. In their first game against each other, LeBron impresses with his athleticism and size, even throwing down a fast break dunk over Jordan. But MJ, ever the competitor, responds with vintage mid-range shots and fadeaways, reminding the young rookie who still runs the game. Jordan finished with 22 points while LeBron put up 18, 6 rebounds and 5-6 in a close game. With LeBron already in the league, the 2003 NBA draft takes on a whole new shape. The Cavs take Carmelo Anthony with the first pick, and Dwayne Wade goes 3rd overall to the Denver Nuggets. In his second year, LeBron emerges as the clear-cut best player on the Rockets, making it evident that the franchise will have to move on from Steve Francis very soon. Despite the slightly awkward fit, Houston has a strong season, finishing with a 45-37 record, securing the 7th seed in the Western Conference. LeBron takes a massive leap statistically, averaging 24 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. His dominance earns him an All-Star appearance. In the first round, the Rockets face the Los Angeles Lakers, led by Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. The series becomes an unexpected battle, stretching to 6 games after a shocking Game 1 lost by the Lakers and a LeBron scoring explosion in Game 4 to tie the series at 2-2. However, in Game 6, Shaq dominates Hakeem Olajuwon, officially sending the legendary big man into retirement while getting his revenge for the 1995 NBA Finals. Despite LeBron's heroics, Houston falls short and the Lakers advance. Still, this playoff battle proves to be an invaluable experience for LeBron. Facing off against 2 of the greatest players in the NBA forces him to refine his game under playoff pressure. The physicality, the adjustments, and the intensity all serves as a proving ground, preparing him for his inevitable rise to superstardom. Though he exits in the first round, it's clear that this is only the beginning of a legendary career. With Wade being drafted to Denver, Shaq does not get traded to Miami as there is no star to pair him with. Instead, despite the Lakers' reluctance to trade Shaq to a conference rival, they eventually strike a deal with the Dallas Mavericks, pairing him with Dirk Nowitzki. The blockbuster three-team trade sees Antoine Jameson, Eric Dampier, and Joe Johnson heading to the Lakers, while Steve Nash is sent to the Suns. At the same time, the blockbuster Tracy McGrady trade still happens, sending McGrady to Houston to team up with LeBron James. This move signals Houston's full commitment to LeBron as their franchise cornerstone, replacing Steve Francis and setting up an explosive duo for the future. The 2004 draft has Cleveland at the 2 spot due to losing more games with LeBron now on the Rockets, and they take Emma Okafor to pair with Carmelo. With the addition of Tracy McGrady, the Houston Rockets become a powerhouse in the Western Conference. Houston finishes with 57 wins, the third best record in the entire league. However, due to the division system, they end up as the 5th seed, as both the Dallas Mavericks and San Antonio Spurs are in their division. Despite the seeding disadvantage, LeBron James has a historic season, averaging 28 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists per game, earning him his first NBA MVP award, the youngest in NBA history. The Rockets established themselves as legitimate title contenders, setting up an intense playoff run. Meanwhile, Steve Nash and the Phoenix Suns struggle slightly more than in real life due to the loss of Joe Johnson, leading to a shift in the playoff landscape. This season solidifies LeBron as one of the best players in the league and marks the beginning of Houston's championship window. The 2005 playoffs were one for the ages, particularly in the Western Conference, where powerhouse teams collided early. The number 1 seeded Dallas Mavericks, led by Dirk Nowitzki and Shaquille O'Neal, faced the number 8 seed Los Angeles Lakers, where Kobe Bryant was determined to prove he could win without Shaq. The media hyped this as a revenge series, but in reality, the Mavericks were simply the better team. While Kobe had an incredible Game 3 performance, dropping 45 points to avoid a sweep, Dallas won the series in 5 games, dominating with their superior depth and interior presence. The Spurs and Rockets squared off in a highly anticipated matchup. This series showcased a battle between Tim Duncan versus LeBron James and T-Mac. With both teams trading blows throughout, the Spurs' experience and defensive discipline proved to be the difference as they managed to close out the series in 6 games. LeBron had several breakout moments proving he could compete at the highest level, but ultimately San Antonio advanced. Despite technically being a second-round matchup, Dallas vs San Antonio was viewed as the de facto Western Conference Finals, as these were the clear-cut 2 best teams in the league. The series was a hard-fought battle, with Dirk and Shaq proving to be too much for the Spurs to handle. The Mavericks' size and offensive firepower overwhelmed San Antonio, and Dallas won the series in 7 games, officially taking the Western Conference crown. The Phoenix Suns, despite Steve Nash's MVP-level play, simply had no answer for Dirk and Shaq. The Mavericks dominated the glass, outmuscled Phoenix inside, and swept the Suns 4-0 to advance to the NBA Finals. The Detroit Pistons, the defending champions, were at their peak, led by Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Ben Wallace, and Rasheed Wallace. They were determined to repeat, but faced their toughest challenge yet in Shaq and Dirk. While Detroit's defense made the series competitive, Dallas proved to be the more complete team. Shaq dominated inside while Dirk hit clutch shots, leading the Mavericks to a 6-game series win. With Dallas winning the 2005 NBA championship, Dirk Nowitzki gets his first ring, solidifying his legacy as one of the best forwards of his generation. Meanwhile, Shaq proves he can win without Kobe, adding a 4th championship to his resume. The NBA had officially entered a new era. The 2005 NBA draft saw the Atlanta Hawks and Charlotte Hornets swapping picks, leading to Chris Paul landing in Atlanta instead of New Orleans. This move significantly alters the landscape of the Eastern Conference, giving the Hawks a franchise point guard. Meanwhile, the Houston Rockets make a major move, trading for Chicago Bulls backup center Tyson Chandler, sending Juwan Howard and a pick to Chicago in the process. With Chandler's defensive presence and rebounding, Houston looks like one of the best teams in the NBA and a true contender. However, with 20 games left in the season, Tracy McGrady suffers a devastating injury, ruling him out for the playoffs. With no Miami Heat super team in this timeline, the Detroit Pistons once again make the NBA Finals, continuing their dominance in the East. Meanwhile, in the Western Conference, the Houston Rockets without McGrady struggle against the Dallas Mavericks in the first round. Despite LeBron James putting on a legendary performance, averaging 33 points per game and even dunking on Shaq, the Rockets fall in 6 games to the Mavericks. Elsewhere, the Los Angeles Lakers face off against the Denver Nuggets in a thrilling first round battle. With Kobe Bryant and Dwayne Wade going at it, This series is one of the most exciting matchups of the playoffs. The 6th-seeded Lakers pull off the upset, advancing to face the Phoenix Suns in the second round. In a grueling 7-game series, Kobe and Joe Johnson step up to take down the Suns, setting up a showdown with the winner of the Mavericks and Spurs series. Meanwhile, in a rematch of last year's de facto NBA Finals, the Mavericks and Spurs have yet another grueling 7-game battle. Once again, Dallas comes out on top, proving that they are the team to beat in the West. This sets up another chapter of the Kobe vs Shaq rivalry, as the Mavericks take on the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. With Kobe determined not to let Shaq win another ring, he delivers an inspired performance. However, Dallas' size advantage and depth prove too much, and the Mavericks win the series in 6 games. In the NBA Finals, the Mavericks once again take down the Pistons, this time in 5 games, as Shaq dominates inside while Dirk continues his stellar play. This gives Shaq his 5th championship, putting him 1 ring behind Michael Jordan and cementing Dirk with his 2nd title and his first NBA Finals MVP. Determined to build a contender, the Los Angeles Lakers made a blockbuster trade for Kevin Garnett, a year before the Celtics would have acquired him in real life. The Lakers sent Antoine Jamison, Joe Johnson, and multiple draft picks to Minnesota in exchange for Kevin Garnett, pairing him with Kobe Bryant to form a lethal duo to challenge the powerhouse teams of the Western Conference. With Dwayne Wade thriving in Denver, the Nuggets no longer needed Allen Iverson, leading to another major deal. The Boston Celtics traded Wally Sirzaback, Gerald Green, and Delonte West to Philly in exchange for Allen Iverson, giving Paul Pierce a 2nd star. Dallas once again secured the 1st seed, winning 62 games for the 2nd consecutive season. However, Shaq's production fell dramatically, raising questions about his longevity. Despite that, due to their high win count, Dirk Nowitzki won the MVP. Meanwhile, in the Eastern Conference, the Pistons battled the Cavaliers in a grueling 7-game series, with Detroit advancing to the NBA Finals for the 4th straight year after also defeating the new-look Celtics in another 7-game series battle. The Western Conference was as competitive as ever. The Mavericks swept the Timberwolves, now led by newly acquired Joe Johnson. Meanwhile, the Rockets faced off against the Nuggets, where Dwayne Wade returned after missing much of the regular season. However, Houston proved to be too much for Denver, winning the series in 5 games. The Lakers and Suns clashed in a thrilling 7-game series, with Kobe Bryant and Kevin Garnett leading the Lakers to victory. In the second round, the Spurs stunned the Mavericks in a shocking sweep, as Shaq's decline was undeniable, ending Dirk's MVP season and raising concerns about whether Shaq was still a dominant force in the league. Meanwhile, in a battle for supremacy, LeBron and McGrady squared off against Kobe and Garnett. While the Lakers had the better duo on paper, the Rockets' superior supporting cast proved to be the difference, as LeBron led Houston to a 6-game victory, avenging his previous loss to Kobe, and fueling one of the biggest rivalries of the new era. For the 3rd straight year, the Rockets and Spurs faced off in the playoffs. This time, it was in the Western Conference Finals. With Tracy McGrady finally healthy, Houston's offensive firepower overwhelmed San Antonio. The Rockets took the series in 6 games, with LeBron and T-Mac proving to be too much for the Spurs defense. Houston had finally broken through, making it to the NBA Finals for the first time in the LeBron era. Despite the historic run, many question if Houston could defeat the battle-tested Pistons, who had far more playoff experience. However, LeBron immediately silenced the doubters, leading the Rockets to 3 straight wins to open the series. Although Detroit salvaged Game 4, the Rockets closed it out in 5 games, securing their first championship in the LeBron era. At just 22 years old, LeBron James was now an NBA champion. His dominant finals performance, averaging 30 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists per game, earned him the finals MVP honors. Tracy McGrady, after years of falling short and not being able to escape the first round, had finally won his first ring as well. The 2007 NBA draft saw a major shakeup, with the Milwaukee Bucks selecting Kevin Durant. Meanwhile, the Seattle Supersonics traded Ray Allen to the Cleveland Cavaliers, forming a new Big Three of Carmelo Anthony, Emeka Okafor, and Ray Allen, in an effort to challenge the Eastern Conference elite. In the West, the Dallas Mavericks made a blockbuster midseason trade, trading Shaquille O'Neal back home to New Jersey in exchange for Jason Kidd. After realizing that Shaq's decline was too drastic, the Dallas Mavericks moved on quickly, ensuring they could still compete for championships. This trade effectively removed Shaq from championship contention, as the Nets failed to make the playoffs. The Denver Nuggets also made a major move, acquiring Pau Gasol from the Grizzlies in exchange for Marcus Camby and key role players, giving Dwayne Wade a dominant front court presence to push Denver deeper into the playoffs. With their new roster in place, the Lakers finished with the #1 seed, as Kobe Bryant won the MVP, proving that pairing him with Kevin Garnett was the right decision. In the playoffs, the Lakers took down the Timberwolves in 5 games, eliminating Kevin Garnett's former team. The Rockets defeated the Jazz in 6 games, and the Spurs eliminated the Suns, and the Nuggets took down the Mavericks in 5. In the second round, the Lakers and Nuggets engaged in a thrilling 7-game series, where Kobe and Garnett ultimately outdueled Wade and Gasol, proving that LA had built a superior duo. Meanwhile, Houston's repeat bid fell short as they lost in 7 games to the Spurs. Although McGrady was still effective, it was clear he had lost his step, leaving LeBron to shoulder most of the load. For the first time in a few years, the Lakers and Spurs met in the Western Conference Finals, but this time, the Lakers had Kevin Garnett to pair with Kobe. The duo proved too much for the Spurs as LA took the series in 6 games, sending Kobe back to the NBA Finals with a chance to finally catch or surpass Shaq in championships. While many expected Cleveland's big three of Carmelo, Okafor, and Ray Allen to reach the finals, they were stunned by the Boston Celtics in an upset led by Paul Pierce and Allen Iverson. The Celtics took down the Cavaliers and advanced to their first finals appearance since the 1980s. This set up an iconic Lakers vs Celtics NBA Finals. However, the two teams were not evenly matched. With Kobe hungry for his 4th championship and Allen Iverson struggling to keep up, the Lakers dominated the series, winning in 5 games. Despite Kobe leading the charge, Kevin Garnett was named Finals MVP, shocking Kobe and the NBA world. Nonetheless, the victory solidified the Kobe-KG duo as the best in basketball, and the Lakers had officially returned to dominance. The 2008 NBA draft saw a major shift in the league's power. The Chicago Bulls originally landed the first pick and drafted Derrick Rose. But with Yao Ming already in Chicago, a different team jumped to the top, the Milwaukee Bucks. They selected Derrick Rose, pairing him with Kevin Durant to form one of the most exciting young duos in NBA history. Meanwhile, the Memphis Grizzlies selected Russell Westbrook, having missed out on Mike Conley the year prior. Unlike previous summers, no major transactions occurred during the 2008 offseason, leaving teams to battle with their existing cores. With a fully healthy roster and the addition of Ron Artest, to an already elite defensive core of Shane Battier, LeBron James, and Tyson Chandler, the Houston Rockets assembled one of the best defensive teams of all time. They stormed through the regular season with a 69-13 record, tying the 1972 Lakers and the 1997 Bulls for the second best record in NBA history. LeBron James was unstoppable, securing his 2nd MVP award, averaging 28 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists per game, while leading Houston to dominance. In the first round, Houston easily dispatched the New Orleans Hornets in a sweep. They followed that up by defeating the Spurs in 5 games, ending San Antonio's run as a consistent Western Conference contender. Meanwhile, the Denver Nuggets made an impressive run, eliminating the Utah Jazz before sweeping the Lakers, as Dwayne Wade outperformed Kobe Bryant in one of the most shocking playoff moments. In the East, the Milwaukee Bucks, led by Durant and Rose, faced off against the Hawks, who featured Chris Paul, Josh Smith, and Joakim Noah. Despite the Hawks being the highest seed, the Bucks' offensive firepower was too much, and they upset Atlanta in 7 games. However, their Cinderella run ended in the second round, where the Orlando Magic took them down in 5 games. The Eastern Conference Finals featured a showdown between Orlando and Cleveland, with Carmelo Anthony, Ray Allen, and Emeka Okafor leading the Cavaliers past Dwight Howard's Magic in 6 games, sending Cleveland to the NBA Finals for the first time in the Carmelo Anthony era. With the Rockets and Nuggets meeting in the Western Conference Finals, fans got the epic duel between LeBron James and Dwayne Wade that never happened in real life. The two superstars traded legendary performances, going back and forth with clutch moments. Despite Wade playing at the highest level of his career, Houston's depth and all-time defense proved too much. The turning point came when Rafiq Alston suffered an injury, forcing Houston to start LeBron James at point guard alongside McGrady, Battier, World Peace, and Chandler. This lineup became an unstoppable defensive force, completely shutting down Denver's offensive options. What initially seemed like a setback turned into a blessing in disguise, as LeBron thrived running the offense, dominating the Nuggets in the final 2 games to take the series in 6 games. The 2009 NBA Finals featured a dream matchup as LeBron James faced off against Carmelo Anthony's Cavaliers. While Cleveland had its own big three in Carmelo Anthony, Ray Allen, and Emeka Okafor, they were simply no match for Houston's historically dominant team. The Rockets blew out Cleveland in 3 of the 4 games, and while Game 3 was tightly contested, Cleveland failed to capitalize. In dominant fashion, the Rockets won the series in 4 games, completing one of the greatest team seasons in NBA history, losing just 16 games in total, regular season and playoffs combined, trailing only the 96 Bulls and tying the 72 Lakers. LeBron James was once again named Finals MVP, securing his 2nd championship at just 24 years old. Tracy McGrady, however, showed signs of regression, averaging only 17 points per game in the finals, as it became clear Houston would increasingly rely on LeBron moving forward. With his 2nd championship, LeBron was firmly on the path to chasing Jordan's 6 rings, and had officially taken over as the face of the NBA. The 2009 NBA draft saw notable changes, with the Minnesota Timberwolves selecting James Harden 3rd overall. Meanwhile, Steph Curry, DeMar DeRozan, and Blake Griffin still went to their original teams. The Cleveland Cavaliers, realizing they needed more firepower, traded Emeka Okafor and draft picks to the Toronto Raptors for Chris Bosh, forming a legitimate big three of Carmelo, Ray Allen, and Chris Bosh, who better compete for a championship. In the Western Conference, the Los Angeles Lakers strengthened their supporting cast, signing Rasheed Wallace and Matt Barnes, while trading for Tayshaun Prince to add defensive depth. The San Antonio Spurs also made a bold move, trading Matt Bonner and Michael Finley to the New Jersey Nets for Shaquille O'Neal, looking to add an inside presence to pair with Tim Duncan. LeBron James secured his 3rd MVP award, averaging 29 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists. However, the Rockets' dominance took a slight hit, dropping to 59 wins as Tracy McGrady's production continued to decline, averaging just 14 points per game on poor efficiency. Despite this, Houston still clinched the 1st seed in the West. In the first round, the Rockets swiftly eliminated the Minnesota Timberwolves, handling business with ease. They then faced Dwayne Wade's Denver Nuggets, who had another strong season. Despite Wade's brilliance, Houston proved too strong, taking the series in 6 games. Wade, visibly frustrated, once again fell short of an NBA Finals appearance by losing to LeBron once again. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles Lakers sought redemption after their early exit the previous year. In the first round, they met the San Antonio Spurs, where Kobe Bryant finally got his revenge on Shaquille O'Neal, eliminating his former teammate in 6 games. In the second round, Kobe and KG then outlasted Dirk Nowitzki and the Mavericks, setting up a highly anticipated rematch with the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. Out east, the Cleveland Cavaliers once again reached the conference finals. After defeating the Magic in 6 games, however, they were met by the Milwaukee Bucks led by Kevin Durant and Derrick Rose, who had just beaten the Atlanta Hawks in a grueling 7-game series. Durant, who finished 2nd in MVP voting, was playing at a level years ahead of schedule, and Rose was already proving to be an elite point guard. The Young Bucks stunned Cleveland by taking a 3-2 series lead, before closing out Game 6 at home, sending Milwaukee to the NBA Finals for the first time since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was there. The stage was set for a battle between the West's 2 biggest powerhouses. LeBron James and the defending champion Rockets aimed to retain their crown, while Kobe Bryant and Kevin Garnett sought redemption after last year's setback due to Kevin Garnett's injury. But Houston wasn't the same. Tracy McGrady, once a star, struggled in a bench role. The real difference maker was Marc Gasol, who remained with the Lakers after Powell was traded to Denver instead. For the second time, LeBron failed to defend his title, again stopped by Kobe. With this win, Kobe improved to a 3-1 record against LeBron in the playoffs, proving he still had the upper hand. The 2009-10 NBA Finals set up an incredible storyline, the future versus the present. Kevin Durant and Derrick Rose, in just their 3rd and 2nd years respectively, had to face Kobe Bryant and Kevin Garnett, 2 battle-tested veterans looking to add to their legacies. The Lakers won the first 2 games, proving their experience was too much early on. However, Game 3 was an electric performance by the Bucks, with Derrick Rose and KD both exploding for dominant games, leading Milwaukee to a blowout win. Despite the momentum, the Lakers responded in Game 4, locking down Milwaukee's offense and securing a crucial win. In Game 5, Kobe put on a masterclass performance, closing out the series in 5 games, securing his 5th NBA championship. Though the Bucks fell short, the experience was invaluable, and it was clear that Durant and Rose would be back in the near future, ready to challenge for a championship once again. A quick recap of the major changes so far. The Mavericks are 2-time champions after pairing Dirk with Shaq, giving Shaq his 5th ring. LeBron has already won 3 MVPs and 2 championships, while Kobe just secured his 5th title, with Kevin Garnett earning his 2nd alongside him. Kevin Durant and Derrick Rose have also emerged as a new powerhouse in Milwaukee. In Part 2, LeBron begins a new chapter, looking for a fresh co-star as Tracy McGrady's injuries take their toll, and with LeBron no longer ruling the East in the 2010s, who takes over the conference? Stay tuned. Subscribe, leave a like.